going to talk about why they buy. And pretty much all of you have said you're in some sort of position where sales is in place. And as I say, we're all in sales, whether or not we have a job that's actually sales. Anybody who's a parent trying to sell our kids on doing their chores, trying to sell them on eating their vegetables. And sometimes you're trying to sell to your partner, you want pizza, they want burgers, and you're trying to sell them on your idea of the pizza. So we all have sales. We just don't always call it that. We're trying to influence somebody to come around to our way of thinking. And so with what we're doing with the bank methodology, we're going to show you the secrets with that, the science, the system, and the solution. And then here's a little bit about me. Now, some of you have cracked your code for me. I saw the reports come through and you were logging in. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that name. I remember seeing that name. So I don't know if you guys took the time to actually read through those reports. They're actually really, really cool. But my bank code is blueprint, knowledge, nurturing, and action. And as we go through this, that'll make a little more sense on what that means. So I am a licensed and certified trainer with bank, as well as we have a coaching program that I'm also certified as that. As a registered nurse, I did a lot of training of new nurses, and my goodness, this would have been so helpful. And I wish the person who trained me in my first nursing job had known this. My first nursing job was a nightmare. Leader in sales and relationship training, which is why I'm here. One of my favorite things to say on this is I am a volunteer with Arizona Animal Welfare League. I love helping people try to adopt dog or cat, because we do both with ours. Unfortunately, I haven't been back since the pandemic. They had shut down all the locations, and then I started having a lot of pain issues. And I'm like, well, it's not fair if I come in and just play with the dogs and not do the physical work that needed to be done. Human connection expert. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm also a practitioner and coach in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, if you're not familiar with it. And I was a certified specialist in poison control. My last nursing job was with poison control. And many parents have had the experience of calling in and having to make sure their kids are okay for something they got into. And I always jokingly say, somewhat true, I can tell you how to kill somebody and get away with it, where you're not detected. All right. Many times I work with a group, and there's certain trainings that we have going on that I work with a group that we call Team Excellence, and we're just experts in different industries, but we're all trained in bank. And through this training, we're going to help you unlock the secret to that ultra high performance so that you can close that sale in less time and with much better connection, so people don't feel icky from the sales process. So you don't feel icky as the salesperson, and they don't feel like they got that used car. They got bang, bang, the finger guns that they use. Everybody know who Robert Kiyosaki is? He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he says the ability to sell, boy, I cannot talk tonight. The ability to sell is the #1 skill in business. And he also goes on to say, if you can't sell, you have no business being in business. So I think sometimes his sales can be a little icky as well, but he's very well known in the sales realm. And yeah, we kind of talked about that, being able to influence, if you don't like that word sell, because many of us that have sales positions, we don't like telling people we're in sales. You can start telling people, I'm in influencing people. Now, according to Salesforce.com, and this is one of the reasons why we do what we do, 67% of salespeople miss their quotas. Now, if you think about that, that's about 2 out of 3 people. So 2 out of 3 of us are missing our quotas, whether that's ones we set for ourselves or ones our companies set for us. And then about 87% of people are not adequately prepared for the sales presentation or for the person that they're talking to. And that's approximately 9 out of 10 people that we're talking to. This next one, this is the worst of the worst. 66% of people are turned off by the presentations that we're giving them. And again, that's about 2 out of 3. And I'm going to show you it's more likely 3 out of 4. So maybe every once in a while you get somebody who really liked what you had to make it the 2 out of 3. Now, personality science, this has been around for literally centuries. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, most of us have heard of the Hippocratic Oath. It came from Hippocrates. He had 4 personality types, and based on those personality types would be how he would treat his patients. And so most of us, everybody here has probably taken a personality test of some sort, whether it was the one I had that you sent out or another one. We've DISC and MBTI, which is Myers-Briggs. And then there's little fun ones you can find on the internet, like animals and your star sign and all kinds of fun things. And we do these because we love learning about ourselves or seeing if they're accurate to us. And the difference between what those are and what ours is, those are all rooted in psychology. Now, bank is rooted in biology, not the biology you took in school. This is BUY-ology, the science of buying behavior, or why people buy into you. And the most common mistake that we make is we're talking to people about what's important to us in our sales process. And so if we're speaking from our primary code, since there's 4 of them, we're connecting with about 1 out of 4 people. So that's only about 25% of the time. So 3 out of 4 times, remember I said likely 3 out of 4 instead of 2 out of 3, you're delivering the wrong script. So 75% of the time, you're handing those people over to your competition. Yikes. I know I don't like those numbers. I want to change that about myself, and I want to help you guys change that about yourself. So with bank, you can increase your sales up to 300%. And anybody that's like me looked at that and went, you can't have more than 100%. These are knowledge people, by the way, that say things like that. And I was very skeptical until I actually heard the slide and it made a lot more sense. So I'm going to babble on for a little bit here, but I'm hoping it'll make some sense for you. So we're going to start with the baseline of being the blueprint personality, because we have to start with one of them. And because we talk about bank, B is the first one in the order there. And I'm blueprint. So for me, it makes sense completely. So if I talk to another blueprint, they completely understand what I'm saying. And an easy way to make this analogy too is to talk about it in languages. I speak English. If I'm talking to another English speaker, they're likely to understand what I'm saying and likely to connect and buy from me. Then there's the action personality type. We're going to say they speak Spanish. They don't speak any English at all. So if I'm talking to them, they may politely nod their head and try to listen to what I'm saying, but they're not going to understand and they're not going to connect. So that sale is gone. But if I learn to speak Spanish and then I speak with them in Spanish, they're going to understand me and they're likely to purchase from me. So then I can start closing up to 100% of the action personality type, or our example of Spanish. So then nurturing, we're going to say they speak Dutch. They don't speak Spanish, they don't speak English. So if I don't learn Dutch, they're not going to connect with what I'm saying because they're not going to understand what I'm telling them. And once I start speaking Dutch, again, they get it. And I can start closing up to 100% of the Dutch speakers. So now I've increased my influence to up to 200%. I think you can see where the next one's going. The K for knowledge. We like to, use the example of Korean for the language for that. And same thing, they don't speak Dutch, they don't speak Spanish, they don't speak English. But if we learn the Korean and speak in Korean, we can get up to 100% of those as well. So now we've increased up to 300%. Everybody here seen the movie The Da Vinci Code? All right, awesome. So you saw a cryptext like that used in the movie, and inside was the secret to the Holy Grail. Now, the trick with that little cryptext there is if you put the wrong code in, the secret was written on papyrus and it was wrapped around a vial of vinegar. And the machine would then break that vial of vinegar and the secret would disintegrate. But if you put in the right code, the secret would come out and you would have the answer. So we say start looking at people that you're speaking to as having that secret inside them. And the question is, how do we find that secret out without breaking that vial of vinegar? Now, how many of you have been in the sales process and you were pretty positive they were ready to go, and then all of a sudden it just switched and they were no longer interested? Likely you hit what we call one of their tripwires and you ran afoul of their personality type and they were done. And that was the end of that. I know I've done it. I've seen it happen. I've seen it on their faces. So we're going to try and help you guys not do that anymore by talking about the 4 personality types. And we're going to start with the blueprint. Each of our personality types, we use a color for representation, a metaphor of a box, and of course the letter, which is the first letter of the actual code. So with the blueprint, we use the color blue. 1, it's in the name. 2, if you think about an architectural blueprint, it's got all of the information on there. It's got the foundation, it's got the walls, it's got the step-by-step of how to get there before you put the roof on. And if you do any of those out of order, that house is not going to be structurally sound anymore. And blueprints are very much like that. They are also very much inside the box. And for them, that box is comfortable. It tells them how far they can go, how high they can go, how low they can go. And I like to say it's kind of like the memes with the cat. If it fits, I sit. Same thing with a blueprint. If that box fits, they sit in it and they are comfortable and they are happy there and they don't like to leave it. Now, blueprints, they value things like systems, structure, stability, responsibility, duty, rules. This is a big one. Blueprints follow rules. They may not always like them, but they will follow them and they will enforce them. Oh, there was something I was going to say there and I just now forgot what it was. Thanks. All right, well, we'll kind of move forward. If it pops back in my head, I'll come back. One thing I also say about blueprints is we make decisions from our head. We do everything, that's what it was. Everything we do is to avoid risk. Blueprints don't like risk. So if there's anything that you're talking to them about that might have an element of risk to it, you also want to be able to show them what the risk of not doing it would be. Insurance is a good example. Blueprints, for one, tend to have a lot of insurance because, again, they're avoiding that risk. So if you're trying to convince them on a type of insurance to buy, you want to show them what their detriment would be if something would happen and they didn't have that insurance. One way I can kind of try and explain that a little bit. And for me, anytime I see like on social media, somebody's got something they're doing and it says a system and step-by-step and a process, I'm like, whoa, I want to know more. I have an acquaintance who's getting ready to launch a program for being a podcaster, and he specifically had stuff like that in there. And I'm like, I'm in. And I'm like, yay. And he's been trained in this, so he knew why I got excited. I'm like, you're doing a great job with trying to attract blueprints on that one. And I don't know if that was his goal, but it definitely got my attention every time he posted those. Now, our action personality type, I am going to bring my energy up a little bit because these guys drink Red Bull for breakfast. They love red carpet treatment and, well, the red carpet VIP treatment. Everything they do, head to toe, is for show. These guys love attention. They love fun, flexibility, freedom. They love to win and they love competition. Part of the reason why we use the red for the color. Now that box, they're like, box? What box? Oh, I think I blew that box up last week. That box? No, whatever, no box. These guys are not rule followers. These guys, the expression is rules are made to be broken. They don't like them. A lot of times for jobs, these guys are entrepreneurs because they don't like rules and they don't like having bosses. They love fun, and it is about their image. So when you see somebody and you're like, wow, look at them. They just look so, I'm going to say fancy, and that's not necessarily the word I'm looking for, but well put together. They've got the brand names, can give you a clue that they're probably in action. And these guys want you to get to the bottom line. They don't want a whole lot of details. They're also the ones that if you send out an email trying to sell them something, make sure there's a buy button at the top, because if they've already decided they want it right then. One of my really good action friends, there was something she wanted to purchase. She could not find a buy now button until the very bottom of the email, and so she kind of bypassed it. She's like, I'm not reading through all this. And somebody else that she had wanted to buy from, she's like, okay, I want that. Tell me how to buy. They sent her an email with a whole bunch more information. Click these links, look at this. You need to know this before you buy. She's like, no, I don't. I just want to buy. So if you're working with an action, they do not want all the details. You can always ask them, do you have any other questions? When they say, I'm ready to buy, do you have any questions? They tell you no, let them buy because you may lose them if you don't. Oh yeah, another thing about them is you may hear them before you see them. They are that energetic. And you've probably got friends that you know exactly that way. They're like, whoa, at least for me, those types of friends, I'm usually like, tone it down a little bit because again, I'm that blueprint. And the blueprint and action are opposite personality types. And when you talk romantic relationships, these two tend to attract each other a lot. But then over time, as you can see, rule followers, not rule followers, inside the box, outside the box, over time they start butting heads and it can become very frictional, which is not a word, but they can experience a lot of friction with each other. Then our third personality type is our nurturing. And again, we're going to slow things down because they're usually very calm. We use the color yellow because they're warm as the sun. They have a heart of gold. That box, they're not inside the box. They didn't blow it up. They recycle, they repurpose, and they reuse that box. And these guys, they value things like relationships, which is probably the very number one thing for them. If they feel you're only in it for the money, they're not going to be involved. They value authenticity. They value charity. They value their family big time. Personal growth is huge. So if you know somebody who's doing a lot of personal growth things, there's a strong possibility that's a nurturing. And they want harmony. They don't ever like to have any discourse anywhere. So a couple sales tips with the nurturing is you want to get them involved in your community. So if you have a Facebook group they can be involved in, that would be a good recommendation to ask them if they would like to be part of that. And there's usually not a charity they don't like. So if you have a pet project of yours, let them know about it because they will do what they can to try and support you in helping with that charity. Now, our knowledge personality type, we use the color green. Now, these guys eat data for breakfast. So thinking about that, Excel spreadsheets, their logo is in green. And in the movie The Matrix, the data on the screen dropping down is in green. And one of our knowledge trainers came back and said to the creator, the woman who created this, you know, there's another reason why you can say green. And she's like, really? He's like, yeah, they can be green with envy. She's like, really? Tell me more. He's like, well, if you think about it, they're the ones who engineered that box. But yet the action is the one out there selling it and getting all of the accolades. They're getting all the attention, even though they had nothing to do with creating that box. They're the one out there selling it. And the one who created it, once he created it, is kind of ignored. So they can have a little green with envy because they're usually the smartest person in the room and they know it, but they're not always acknowledged for that. Now, they value things like learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, expertise, accuracy, the big picture. Now, these guys will be the ones that take the longest to make a buying decision. And a good way to tell that you're dealing with the knowledge is they're probably asking you a million questions. They're not doing it to be annoying. They have to have all of that answered and answered well in their heads before they can make that final decision. So we ask people, how long do you think it takes to close a knowledge? And we'll tell you it starts with 4. Forever. Because they have to do all their research. They have to have all their ducks in a row. So again, if you've got somebody asking a lot of questions, don't get overly frustrated with them. And especially if they ask the same question multiple times, because they may still be trying to get to the point of what they need. They're also the ones that have done a lot of research ahead of time. So be prepared that they already know things and they may ask questions to test you to see if you know what you know. Or if they had additional questions about what they looked at as they researched it. You know, there was something else I was going to say and it just left my mind as well. Hate when that happens. Oh, if you don't know an answer, don't make it up. Don't make it up. Best thing you can say to them, and they appreciate this, by the way. I don't know. Let me look into it and let me get back to you. And kind of give them a time frame of when you think you're going to have that answer. And they may ask to go above you and talk to the expert. And that is a knowledge. They want to make sure they're getting that absolute positive information. A lovely example I have of that is the woman who introduced me to bank. Her husband is a high knowledge. She was in action, and she wanted a particular SUV, and they had a trailer that she wanted to haul with it. Now, he's an engineer. He kept telling her that car will not do that. She goes, they promised me at the dealership that it will. I've talked to the mechanic. She knew he was going to ask these questions. So she told the dealership, I need your head mechanic on hand when we come in, because he's going to be the one that has to answer these questions. She wound up with that car because the dealership did comply and the head mechanic answered all of his questions. So again, it's not that they're disrespecting you. They have to have that answered and strong in their mind before they can make that decision. Now, what's your bank code? We are a combination of all 4 of these codes. You may have been going, yeah, but I have several of those, and I have several of all of them. And we do. We are all of them. I had, because I'm somebody who's in my head a lot. First time I did the same thing. I'm kind of sorting it, resorting it. And I'm like, now I don't know. So the blueprint and knowledge, and I'm double whammy because those are both right there together, are the thinkers. We make decisions after we have questions answered, and it's from our head. And blueprints, it tends to be from experiences in the past. Then the action and nurturing both make decisions from their gut and their heart. And the actions usually make the decisions the fastest, and nurturing is a lot of times right behind them. Now, blueprint can make a fast decision, but that's because usually they've already done all of their getting their answers online before they've come to see you. All right, so what I want to do is pause here. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is essentially our back office. So with our one subscription that we have, the big one, you get access to what we call our bank path, which is the link you guys cracked your codes on. So you get a link with your own access code, and you can send that out to as many people as you want to crack the code. And then it gives you a CRM to store it in. And right now, because of, again, the migration, our CRM is not fully effective yet. You'll see some of you guys are on here. See, oh, here's Angela. Did any of you doubt Angela was a nurturing first? I didn't. And then Jade is also nurturing. Actually, Jade and Angela are the exact same code. They're both nurturing action knowledge blueprint. So again, these two will make decisions from their heart, and they want to know that the sale isn't just a transaction. They also make decisions pretty quickly because they've got that action first. You know, Jade's got multiple businesses, Angela's got multiple businesses. And that third spot, that's our stress code. And so when they're in stress, they're going to probably wind up, Angela, I'm going to ask you because I can see you. Do you find yourself in analysis paralysis when you're stressed out?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when you're in stress, you want lots of information. You want to see the big picture.
Yes. Yeah.
And so if I came to you and sold to you with talking about step-by-step processes, and that there's rules, and then you have to do it this way, are you likely to go, yeah, no, I'm out?
That's not my that's not my world. So I would be like, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our 4th position, that's what turns us off, and that's what you want to avoid. So this is why you want to know what their code is, because I know how to connect with her. You know, I'm going to ask about her family. I'm going to ask, she said she owns a business with her husband. I'm going to ask how things are going with his business. And after the sale, I'm going to stay connected with her as well, as long as she'll have me stay connected to her. And then I want to keep things light and fun and not go in too much detail because of that action side. Because again, that action wants that bottom line. And if I see her in that analysis paralysis, or that she's asking 1,000,001 questions, I know she's in stress about something. And to get her back to where she wants to be, I need to calm that part down and answer all those questions and get those details for her. So as you can see, we've got that part. Let's see, what else did I want to show you here? Don't think I did. And I gotta move your guys' heads for a second. So under the products, what I want to do is bring you into our artificial intelligence. Oh, they added these in since I looked at this last. Yay! So the little pencil means you can type things in, or you can even do it by microphone where you can voice to text it in there. So if you've got somebody you're working with and you want to know what their code is, you just ask them to say something. I haven't set it up so that my microphone works, so it's not going to do that for me right now. And hopefully, our old system, you could even upload a file. So if somebody sent you something, you could throw it in there, run it through, and see what the code of it is. So as an example, how about we go get pizza and visit with our friends? I'm just trying to find something to put in here. It will be a lot of fun. So say I get this as an email and I don't know what the person's code is. So it's telling me their code is action, nurturing, blueprint, knowledge. And so it gives you tips then that you want to be confident and charismatic, because actions don't want to see you not be confident, because they're like, if you're not confident about what you're doing, why would I be confident in it? And they don't want to overload them with details and charts. Don't display excitement, enthusiasm, be cool and dress to impress. Now, things to avoid: failing to capture their attention fast, not being cool or socially relevant, lacking that confidence and courage, and lacking relationship capital in a wide sphere of influence. I didn't touch on that one. These guys are the ones that tend to be influencers. They like other influencers. They want to know that you've got a network that they can then also tap into. Things that will make them possibly say yes: driving a luxury vehicle, or driving at least a very nice vehicle that's very clean and looks good. Greets you with enthusiasm, move fast, don't hesitate, paint a picture of a dream lifestyle. So each of the personality types has these in there. So no matter what the code was, you would get the information for that primary personality type. And if we continue, I can say, that is great, but let's go to the library instead. What? Okay, for some reason that's action, and I didn't think it would be, but so it's saying, great job, I matched the other person's. I was expecting it to say no and that it was a knowledge, because we talked about the library. I probably need a little more details to hit what I was looking for. But if that was the case, say I was wanting to write to that knowledge and I get this response over here, that it's 100% action, I have no knowledge in there. I then need to add something else in. Go back. Oop, I should have copied it. Continue. Let's go to the museum and discuss philosophy. All right. There's nothing action about that statement, so I'm not sure why that came up action. Anyway, when you hit the code you're looking for, it will tell you that you did. Instead of keeping us hold up there, I kind of wanted to show you that part. So there's all kinds of things you can run through here. Then we also have the Google Chrome extension that we can use on LinkedIn, which will crack LinkedIn profiles. Are you guys seeing LinkedIn? Okay, good. Last time I was playing with this, it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So this is my husband, and I cracked his code earlier, and it put him as 100% knowledge, and the others are all at 0. And if you see it, just organize these in that order. So this is the caveat to our Chrome extension. It's based on what is written in here, and it looks at just about everything that you have in your own profile for LinkedIn. Now, my husband is in a very tech business. He works for GoDaddy. and he's been in that industry for as long as I've known him. So his profile is very high on the knowledge, but he is a nurturing action knowledge blueprint. So if I wrote to him in knowledge, I wouldn't be hitting the right code. So you don't want to necessarily take that as 100% unless you've asked them what their code is. It's great for trying to research the person.
Excellent. So Kelly, if you wouldn't mind just putting your information in the chat. And you said there's a workshop, the first date at least for that. So if people are interested in learning more or being a part of that, they can just click on that right now before we jump out of our Zoom session. And are there any final questions as we close out tonight? It's 7:31. I want to be respectful of time. Any other questions from anyone?
Not for me, but thank you for tonight. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Excellent.
So glad you guys chose to spend your evening with me, and hopefully I didn't really put everybody to sleep.
Not at all, Kelly. It's so intriguing. I'm such that person who's so interested in understanding humans, right? As a nurturer, that's where I am. So I'm like really about being respectful with people and their values. I love the word values. That's what attracted me to this whole bank system, is like knowing someone's values is like, I think, the core to anything when you're talking to other people. Just as we close out, I did put in the chat some dates where we have some in-person sessions. So that's me, Jessica, and Jade will be at one of the three, or all of us will be at the following in-person. So we booked out all the way for the first and second quarter of the year. So if you want to meet us in person, we always see Viviana, who had to duck out. And if you want to get in touch with Kelly, her info is there. So please grab it before the Zoom is over. So Kelly is going to be in our Facebook group as well. So just say that you, I don't know, for whatever reason, don't have access to her direct information. You can shoot her a direct message on Facebook. And yeah, we just want to thank everyone for being here. It's been fabulous getting to know the two of you. Both of you have names that start with the letter N, so that's kind of cool. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Kelly. It was amazing to learn about our own codes and how we think and how we relate. And one of the things that really drew me to this is that it's not just about sales, it's about communication with anyone. And one of the things when we did our interview, which I'll release after our meeting today, the full interview, which is that you, your whole every relationship was impacted by your training in this, and that every communication style that your sons or your husband really was positively impacted because you were able to really speak to their values and their core selves. So that's what attracted me to this. So it wasn't just about sales. So we appreciate that. And yeah, we want to thank you. So Jessica, Jay, do you have anything to say as we close out? Okay, sounds good. All right. Thank you again, Kelly. Thank you, everyone. We will have to record it for the future. Have a good night.